Ashe, Ashe, and Grand Rising once again to you all, my very beautiful people, my highly enriched melanin people, you the Earth's original and organic humans, aka my fellow Africans. Yes, it is I, the Mystic Philosopher. And yes, it is quite evident that I'm still here with you another time on this side of reality. And welcome back to the Mystic Peace, talking again on the 15 minutes with I, the Mystic Philosopher. And this is episode 36. And by now, those of you, my listeners and watchers that have been very carefully listening to me from the beginning, by now you know that the main topic of this series of talks is stress on the mind, or more correctly, the impact that this thing that we humans call stress is having on this thing that we human call mind. And that from I, the Mystic Philosopher's perspective, the solution to this problem, or the solution to this disease called stress, can or may be found in and by understanding, understanding and overstanding the want equation, and also by putting into practice the knowledge that can be gained from it meaning the want equation. And just in case you might have forgotten what that is, what the want equation is, as was given to you by the Mystic Philosopher, it is want is equal to money equals stress, which is also equal to unhappiness. And the quote that I am using and have been using to make and to illustrate my points is from the 23rd Psalm, verses 1. The Lord is, and I quote, the Lord is my shepherd and the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And you, my listeners and my people, may have no doubt noticed that at all times I keep reminding you all that this quote, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, is taken from the Adamic Race History and Holy Book, aka the Christian Holy Bible. And that this book is not our book. It is not our story. And nor was it written, compiled, or designed by us or for the benefit of us. Us meaning we, the highly enriched melanin people, we the Earth's original, we the Earth's natural, original, and organic humans, aka you, my fellow Africans. And even though a lot of you, my people, as a consequence of your gross ignorance and sheep-like conduct, have laid claim to it, and quite regrettably, quite unfortunately, and to your own defeat, you have also laid claim and are laying claim to the Adamic race God and their saviors, etc. The unadulterated record and the unadulterated facts, coupled with our basic activated common sense, will affirm and do affirm that they don't belong to you, they don't belong to us. They meaning the Adamic book and the Adamic God. To give you an example of what I'm talking about, it is just like this language that I'm hereby using to communicate with you. It is not my language or my ancestors' language. And that is why it is called the English language, meaning it is the English people's language. So regardless of how competent or incompetent I am at using it, the facts still remain that it is not mine. But as the name English and the English language itself mean and imply, it belongs to the Caucasian, to the English, British, Caucasoid people. It is their language, and so too it is their holy book, and it is their God, their gods, their angels, their saviors, their devils and prophets, etc., etc., that are written about, spoken of, and are to be found within it. And it does not matter which or what version of it. It is still their book. It is still theirs. Now, history book, as mentioned in the Adamic Race History and Holy Book. Let me explain. By history book, I literally mean that it is all about them. You would really and truly have to be a sheep to read it, to read that book and see that it is not all about them. It is all about their history, aka their story. It is all about how they came about, aka their creation. It is all about when they came about, when they were created, why they were created, aka the reason why they were created, and how they came to be among us on this our planet Earth. It tells them about their beginning, and it also tells them and predict for them their ending and the end of them on this planet Earth. In other words, it tells them of their past, their present, and their future. And for your information, if or when you, my people, should wake up from the hypnotic trance that you are in and stop being sheep, and again know, if you wake up and again stop being sheep and know who and what you are, and above all, know your enemies, and then start to live again. As Baba Ali said, wake up and live. Then you will know that quite unlike them meaning the Adamic race and races, we were not created. We are not creatures like them. But that we are natures. And as such, we have no beginning and we have no end. But much more on that at another time. Most of you won't get that. Holy book, as mentioned in the Adamic Race History and Holy Book. Let me explain. And by holy book, I mean it is one of their most sacred and most highly revered book. It is, in fact, if not their most sacred and most highly revered book. It is considered by most of them, if not by all of them, to be the literal and divinely inspired words of their God, aka the Adamic God. Now, what is in this book? What is in their book? Well, written in their book, or written in this book, the Adamic Race History and Holy Book, are their laws, their commandments, their precepts, their statutes, their testimonies, for them to obediently adhere to and to follow. And if or when they disobey them, the penalties for their disobedience are severe. And they can be extremely severe, even to the point of them being put to death. You may also notice that I said that within the Adamic Race History and Holy Book are their laws, meaning the laws for the Adamic race people, are their commandments, meaning the commandments for the Adamic race people, their precepts, meaning the precepts for the Adamic race people, their statutes and their testimonies, meaning the statutes and testimonies for the Adamic race people. All as is supposedly dictated and given to them by their God, aka the Adamic race God. From my perspective, these are not all one and the same thing, meaning laws, commandments, statutes, precepts, and testimonies are not one and the same thing. And please allow me to explain. From my perspective, understanding, and overstanding, a law is not necessarily the same as a commandment or as a command or a precept or a statute or a testimony, etc. For example, according to one online Oxford English Dictionary, law, or the word law by meaning and definition, and I quote, the system of rules which a particular country or community recognizes as regulating the actions of its members and which it may enforce by the imposition of penalties, unquote. So from this definition of the word law, we can understand and summarize that the law within the Adamic Race History and Holy Book, that some people call it the Torah or the Pentateuch, or aka the 5 books of the Christian Holy Bible, or the first 5 books of the Christian Holy Bible, is by meaning and definition the system of rules, aka also known as the body of rules, which the Adamic race and Adamic races in their countries or in their communities recognize as regulating their actions of their members, and which they may enforce on themselves by the imposition of penalties. Now, please let me take it a bit further for those that might need a little bit more clarity. As pertaining to the Adamic Race History and Holy Book, a commandment is, by meaning and definition, and I quote, a divine rule, especially one of the 10 commandments. We're going to get back to that. A precept, by meaning and definition, is, and I quote, a general rule intended to regulate behavior or thought, unquote. A statute, by meaning and definition, is, and I quote, a law or a decree made by a sovereign, or by God, unquote. A testimony or testimonies by meaning and definition is, and I quote, a public recounting of a religious a religious conversation or experience, unquote. So here you have all seen and heard for yourselves, and you can check it for yourself, that these 5 words with 5 different meanings, these 5 words with 5 different meanings and definition, they have 5 different meanings and definition. And thus, to the wise that are both understood, they are both understood and are definitely different. 5 different words, 5 different meanings. I would be remiss if I did not point out this very important fact. And that is, I am very much aware of the fact that the content of the Adamic race history and holy book, aka the Christian Holy Bible, is laced with plagiarism, meaning that these Johnny come lately race of humankind have borrowed, or more correctly, they have blatantly stolen and have laid claim to a lot of our ancestors' information, or a lot of our ancestors' ideas, thoughts, a lot of our ancestors' materials, our ancestors' teachings and their precepts, etc., etc., and are passing it off as if it is their own. We know that. And even though because of circumstances that might be currently beyond our control, we may sometimes have to go to their book to find some of them. It still does not negate the fact that it is their book and not ours. Just as it is their God, their gods, their savior, and devils and prophets, etc., etc., that are in it. It is not ours. But I promise that I will have much more to say on this point at another time. And so, for your information, the phrase within the first verse of the 23rd Psalm is not just a general statement or a general testimony for a comforting and a feel-good psalm or a feel-good song, because the songs are really psalms, or the psalms are songs, that was given to the Adamic race by their God and prophets, etc., to read before going to sleep, or to sing at funerals, etc. But it is a command to the Adamic race and races, and by extension, it is a commandment, meaning it is an order of the mind and an order in mind. Now, if you think I done, I just come. I will be back on that at another time. Again, thus far, in today's episode, I honestly think that I have given you, or at the very least, I honestly think that I may have given some of you, if not all of you, a lot more to think about, and possibly a lot more to look forward to in my next episode, especially as it relates to the words law, Torah, Pentecost, commandments, precepts, statutes, and testimonies, etc., as found in the Adamic race history and holy book, aka the Christian Holy Bible. And so, in the interest of time, I think that I should just pause here for today and ask that you please join me if or when next I am talking again, possibly in episode, this is what, 35, 36, I think it's 37. The next episode, I'm messing up now. Where and when I will be talking more about the words command and commandment and the disease called want, as I continue to share my perspectives on this quote from the Adamic race history and holy book, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," which I am only using as a reference just to make my points. So please stay tuned. I shall not want. You shall not want. And nor should you, or nor should we be found wanting. In the meantime, and between time, please let me again remind you, my people, that yesterday's history, it too is dead and gone. No more to come back. Tomorrow is a mystery. It too may never come, but today is a gift, which is why we call it the present day. And so I hereby implore you, I'm hereby imploring you to live for today, and by live I mean to claim your natural birthright, your natural native earthly humans. And just in case you do not know or might have forgotten what it is your happiness. And please fulfill your joy today, and let's hope for tomorrow, for it too may never come. And again, I thank you for the time you have given me to listen. I am the Mystic Philosopher, under 15. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Ashe Ayase.